We smash it, rock me, I wanna rock!
Yeah, somebody already picked most of this stuff. Yeah, we're gonna need to try to keep it. Afternoon, guys. It's Mike again. I'm up here with Brent's behind the camera right now, and he'll be helping me do a lot of the stuff that I'll be talking about today. We're currently in the San Bernardino National Forest. Orient you a little bit to where we are. Generally, Los Angeles is that way. That's west. That's east. The town of Big Bear and Big Bear Lake are going to be right over this ridgeline you see behind us, and that's roughly north from where we are. First thing we're talking about today is my jump bag. What I've got set up in that right now is I've got, first and foremost, I've got a blowout kit in it. I've got an H bandage, I've got quick clot coated the gauze, I've also got some compression gauze if I need to stuff a wound with something, and that'll take care of any, surface wounds we get, any just lacerations and things like that from working up here. I've also got one tourniquet there with the blowout package, and I've got two more tourniquets inside my IFAK. If you guys just type in IFAK into YouTube, you get 100 videos on what's in there. Mine's a basic IFAK with extra gauze, extra quick clot, extra H bandages, like I said earlier, a couple of extra tourniquets. But basically got enough to be able to take care of multiple amputations, which obviously are not going to happen, well, hopefully are not going to happen up here while we're doing this, but you never know, we may come across something. We've had quite a few mountain bikers go by, a couple of dirt bike riders, there's a whole crew doing a four-wheel drive out here, got a bunch of Jeeps. So I'm ready for just about anything that could happen out here, realistic scenario stuff that would happen. A bunch of other stuff I've got in there, got a couple of jugs of water, got 2 full MREs, enough to take care of us if we get stuck out here overnight. For example, if the road washes out and we got to build ourselves a highway to get out of here, then we'll be able to do that with what's in that bag. First things we'll cover for this portion, what we got laid out in the truck bed, is some of the have-to stuff for the National Forest Service mandatory requirements for coming out and cutting wood, what they call forest products, in a national forest area. First thing you've got to have is an ABC fire extinguisher, and it has to be within 25 feet of where you're using your chainsaw. In addition to that, the chainsaw has to have a National Forest Service, United States Department of Agriculture approved spark arrestor. Mine does. We've also got spade. Got a 46-inch handle. As you can see, this more than covers that. I'm only 6 foot tall. There's about a 5.5 foot total. Starting from over here on the left, this has become my feller's box slash woodcutter's box. A lot of this stuff will be put in there. I'm not going to break it down what's in each individual one. Just going to go quickly over what we've got here. That next bag behind it is some extra fluids. I've got a quart of 20W50 synthetic. It's a little thick for up here, but it'll cover any, I can put that in any engine I need. Got a couple of extra straps in there, a couple of extra tools. Moving across the front here, we've got a 1944 US issue entrenching tool. This for us today will be used, again, If you notice, we have 2 fire extinguishers. We have the 1 mandatory shovel, and this one will also be used by the other person just in case we have to fight a fire. If it does spark, we got to be able to fight it from 2 sides instead of just 1 side. We have enough equipment to do that with. Big box store brand, composite handle, cheap, made in China steel head. It holds a decent edge to it, and I got this more to practice putting my edges on and stuff. And it is working. I'm starting to learn, you know, left-handed, right-handed sharpening and stuff like that from it. But for today, for the light stuff, we'll use, as you saw earlier, the stuff behind us is all cut down on the ground. Here in the National Forest, you're only allowed to take stuff that is dead and down, not one or the other. So everything will be on the ground, everything's already dead, should be fairly easy to limit and chop through it. Got, again, this is not a great one. This is a made in China 8-pound sledge. This is the first tool head that I actually hung myself. And, you know, the handle right up to here is really good. You know, I went ahead and scraped all the varnish off it. I gnarled the hand down here a little bit to fit me. Basically, I just used a rasp and went vertical on it, or the length of it a little bit, just enough to where it'd cover my hand. Gives you a little bit more purchase on it. As you can see here, I did mess up putting the wedge in a little bit, but again, this was my first one. I have tried this out, busting a few rocks around the house with it, and it does work good. The head is not loose, so we'll keep using it, you know, until we get any sign of danger. Probably first thing we'll notice is the sound or the feel of it. It's going to start feeling a little bit like a broken bat with the vibrations coming a little odd instead of it being set steady. Now that I found those mistakes, I'll be able to do a lot better job next time when I actually do one, you know, a permanent one, if you will. So we've got here is, there is no marking on this at all. It looks very similar to a couple of plum made heads that I've got. This, up until yesterday, had one of those yellow coatings on it as well, the glazing. Don't like it much. Went ahead and took that off. Again, I gnarled the handle. If you can see that in the light, I gnarled the handle down there on the edge with a rasp a little bit. And what that'll do is, if you're coming by stuff, or if you're offhand a little bit, that'll give you a little bit more purchase if you're doing some really light work with one hand, or if you can't get in there with 2 hands and you got it, you know, choke down and get that baseball bat handle to be able to get some work inside a little bit. Little lightweight 2-pound sledge. Again, try to bring 2 of everything. This definitely isn't an 8-pound sledge, but it'll work for just close-in work, easy stuff. Splitting maul, or as you were, a what is this called?
Splitting wedge.
Yeah, splitting wedge. Move a little further over. Got a splitting wedge here. This again was coated with that anti-rust stuff, and it is a Mexico made. But again, practicing putting my edge on it, it's coming along. I by no means am a professional at this yet, but first thing I did was take as much of that coating off as I could get to quickly with a wire wheel and a rust and paint scrubber like you'd use for body work on a car, and then coated it with boiled linseed oil, just something to keep the moisture off of it while it's in storage. Brent actually brought his maul up. This maul is probably not going to use it too much today, but we've got it just in case we need it. And cut. Go ahead and stop it. Moving over to kind of the right half of the truck bed. First thing we'll talk about is the chainsaw. Once again, I said it's got the National Forest Service approved spark arrestor there on the front of it. It's an 18-inch 42cc Craftsman. Nothing special about it. I did sharpen the blade last night. It's the first time I've ever sharpened a blade. You know, one of those things, they look good. You know, that's from me being used to sharpening, you know, some fixed blade knives, you know, a few axes and stuff. And I did get the kit, which I'll talk about in a minute, which did make it much easier for me. Starting over here, if you see, we've got a full, well, not a full, we've got a big box brand, the file kit, and a 4-in-hand and a file card up there. That's got a mill bastard file in it, it's got a rat tail, and it's got a half-round mill file in it as well. Should cover most of the stuff, any touch-up work we need to do while we're out here today. I've got 2 falling wedges. Probably not going to be using those for falling wedges, but they could be good wedges to keep anything, if I got some tension or some compression on any of these dead and down trees we're going to be going after, keep the chainsaw bar from binding in there. Come down a little further, we've got hard hat. As you saw earlier from me talking about the bag, there's not a lot of overhead up here, but if we're trying to limb these things and the limbs are up high, we'll go ahead and wear that hard hat. And the other person just step back away, keep an eye on things, keep any damage from happening to the skull. As you know, it's a good thing to keep your skull in one piece. Got ear pro, we have 2 different kinds. We've got the earmuff Peltors. We've got an extra chainsaw bar here, and then several packages of little foamies. Those things get lost, they fall out of here. No big deal. We'll look around for a minute, pick it back up. It's dirty, no big deal. Shove it in your pocket, they're throwaway. We've got 2 sets of work gloves down here, which are, full good leather on the palms. I also have another set of the more tactical style. They're shooting gloves. Those also are in the bag, just in case we need a 3rd set, in case something happens to one of the sets we've got. We've got 2 stones down here. This one's just, one of the cheap ones. It's designed to be, screwed in and just, gives you your angle before you even need it. We'll be using this to hone anything we need to. We've also got the puck here. Got the puck's got the medium side and the coarse side. It's not optimal to be using, but if we need to use anything on it to keep the shavings from getting embedded in it, we've got that 20W50 motor oil up there that we'll be using for that. Then this is that chainsaw feller's kit that I've got. It's got 3 sizes. The one I used was the 5/32. That's what my saw, this is what the blade on my saw takes. That's what I used. It's also got something for taking down the rakers. Moving a little bit further over, we've got this rock bar here. Another thing I got out of my grandpa's garage. What we'll be using that for today is neither myself or Brent has a PV. So what we'll be using that for is to either assist in the rolling of logs down the hill or to stop or control the rolling of the logs down the hill. If it is rolling, if a log's rolling, we can put that in one side and control that roll downhill and either slow it or stop it as we need to. We've also got a 2-ton come along, or a 2-ton hand winch, a 20-foot cable, and if the vehicle itself needs to be recovered for some strange reason, I've got the 12,000-pound Wern on the front of the Power Wagon. Tested it out, just strung it out and rolled it back in yesterday. We've got that. If you pan further back up there into the truck, we've got a case of water. It's kind of bounced around a bit getting up here. We've got a 5-gallon gas can that is full, was filled up this morning. We also filled the truck up this morning. So that gives me a total of almost 40 gallons of unleaded gas. I've also got a pre-filled 50-to-1 2-stroke mix in the 1¼ gallon gas can. I also have enough 2-stroke mix to be able to make the entire 5-gallon gas can into 50-to-1 mix if need be. I've also got a 1-gallon jug of bar and chain lube just to make sure that we don't run out. One of the issues with these Craftsman saws, the 42cc and the other ones have, it's either a 45 or a 48cc that comes with a 20-inch bar, is that they run out of bar and chain oil before they run out of fuel. So it's something that you've got to keep your eye on. Anytime the saw shuts down, pull the bar and chain loop cap off, look in there, make sure you've got enough. Refill, best bet's just to keep it full at all times. Things is that easiest way to measure a cord of wood is to measure it at 16, have 3 rows, 16-inch length, and then the 4x4x8. Well, with this being an 18-inch bar, right here, if you see this little indent, not this hole, but the actual indent right there, that is my mark. That gives me about 15.5. So I know that that's what I'll be using I'll go ahead and lay this down, and that'll give me my mark from the edge to right where that is, and then I'll just be able to move it 90 degrees and be able to use it from there. Just got done cutting first big set of rounds here. Compared to you know, what a lot of people come to get for, you know, firewood for actually heating their house. This may not look like much, but for me, you know, little excess heat, you know, that I didn't have to pay a company for. And a little backyard firewood, make the old lady happy, you know, sit out there with coffee with her, building that marriage, keeping it strong with, you know, doing the firewood. For us, that's one big thing that we like to do a lot. And Brent out here helping. This is becoming, making a pretty big chore easy. If you come here, you'll notice, I'm noticing that my saw is kind of starting to twist at an angle. I went ahead and I noticed it happening once. I retightened the blade, and if you can see, get in here real close, I noticed that it's doing that, and you know, my relief cut's going good, but I'm not sure why it's doing that. So any of you guys who know way more than me, please tell me, maybe, you know, maybe my chain's too light, you know, too loose, too tight. I'm not sure what the problem is, but whatever it is, please tell me how to get it fixed. And I know, buying a steel MS 660 would be awesome. But right now, this is what I've got to deal with. So please give me critique and tell me how to fix this problem. Thanks.
You know, back when I was a kid, I used to be really good at this. That's all I ever did. Play out in the woods with an axe. Muscles aren't used to it now, though.
That's just because you're getting old.
That might be part of it, I guess.
I learned this from the Forest Service fire crews. Thank you very much for the to Possum Lifestyle or Possum Living for posting that video up. What you do is when you go down, you only go down until till you're chain deep, or till you're 1 bar deep. But that was like with a full size, you know, steel 660 or whatever. Yeah. So go a little bit more than bar deep, then trace it around like you're going to do a plunge cut. Be careful for the kickback. And then go underneath and make your relief cut. And make your relief cut
first?
No, well, that's the thing. You go down 1 bar so you know where you're going to get your cut at. Then you go down, come up under for a relief cut, about half a bar to 1 bar or so. Okay. And then you go back down the top. And that allows it to split completely with that, because just that little bit of like just bar width.
Okay.
Throwing that stuff up out of the way. These actually aren't too bad. I thought they were way heavier than they are. But it's pine, so it's not like we're, you know, chucking hickory or even oak or something, you know? Yeah.